Today, we're talking about South Korea having to evacuate some of its residents because of the bombs that North Korea is sending towards it, Gypsy Rose Blanchard's first interview since being released from prison, and California is now allowing sex changes for all illegal immigrants. So, over the night last night, South Korea carried out a live fire exercise in response to what it called provocation after shelling by North Korea spurred evacuations of two frontline South Korean islands in the Yellow Sea. The shelling and the South's forceful response are an escalation of tensions between the two Koreas whose leaders have traded harsh words lately. South Korea's military said that residents of the two islands, Ying and Bangyeong, were ordered into shelters due to shelling by North Korea on Friday morning. North Korea fired roughly 200 shells. In response, South Korea conducted a firing exercise at 3 p.m. local time, and South Korea accused North Korea of escalating tensions in the wake of the cancellation of an agreement signed in 2018 to reduce military activities. Friday's exchange of fire marked the end of a period of calm along the inner Korean border, said South Korean Defense Minister Shin Won-sik, calling the North shelling a provocation act that threatens peace on the North Korean peninsula and raises tensions. With China saying that they're going to reunite with Singapore. If you live anywhere on the East Coast, you are probably going to see some sort of cold weather. Many places from Virginia all the way till Maine will see between 6 to 12 inches, and right now we have no idea where the heavy snow is actually going to be. As for the Appalachian Mountains from Virginia down to South Carolina, right now they're expected at least a quarter-inch of ice, and people are already filing emergency alerts there. After a relatively mild December for parts of the Northeast, this weekend's storm may be a sharp snapback to reality as the heart of winter is quickly approaching. This weekend, millions across the Northeast may experience their first winter storm featuring snow greater than 1 inch since early 2022, almost 2 whole years now. Any accumulating snow can result in significant travel slowdowns, but this storm may have a greater impact than others of similar magnitude because it's been such a long time since more than 1 inch of snow has accumulated in these areas. It can take people a bit of time once again to get used to driving in these otherwise terrible conditions, but these conditions are definitely going to be amplified since it's the first one in over 2 years for some of these residents in the Northeast. A few inches of snow or more can occur along the I-95 corridor from New York City to Boston, which will be the most snow some of these cities have seen since early 2022, thanks to the multi-year drought of major storms in this area. A lot of other places south of the Appalachian Mountains are just going to get a lot of cold rain and won't see any kind of snow, but this is a good chance for the rest of the East Coast to hopefully see some snow as the rest of this winter season goes on. So if you've been keeping up with anything in the news, or especially the NFL, you know who Aaron Rodgers is. Aaron Rodgers is probably one of the most famous football players in the world right now, and he likes to say things that are just on his mind. Well, there's a weekly segment on the Pat McAfee show where Aaron Rodgers goes and just discusses anything. So he's torn his Achilles at the beginning of the season, and he said that he's going an opposite way of what normal people would do, and he was trying to get back to play this season, and he was doing it in ways that people were not very fond of. Well, he happened to go on the Pat McAfee show this week, and he was talking about the alleged victims and lists that were coming out from Jeffrey Epstein, and he said if that list comes out, I would definitely be popping some sort of bottle. He also said that a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are hoping that it doesn't come out. Well, this sent Jimmy Kimmel into a rage on Twitter because he was absolutely furious that Aaron Rodgers would imply that he was on Jeffrey Epstein's list, and Jimmy Kimmel responded with, "For the record, I've not met, flown with, visited, or had any contact whatsoever with Epstein, nor will you find my name on any list other than that clearly phony nonsense that soft-brained wackos like yourself can't seem to distinguish from reality. Your reckless words put my family in danger. Keep it up, and we will debate the facts further in court." As of right now, Jimmy Kimmel's name hasn't been on any sort of list linked to Epstein, but Aaron Rodgers seems to think so, and I don't think this is going to be the end of it, especially if a smidgen of Jimmy Kimmel's name does come out in these thousands of pages of lists. Aaron Rodgers is going to have an absolute field day. We mentioned last week about how California is going to be providing free healthcare to all illegal immigrants that are coming into the state starting January 1st this year. And now they've just announced that they're going to be providing free sex change surgeries and hormone therapies to those same illegal immigrants. The state of California's program providing taxpayer-funded healthcare to illegal immigrants covers sex change surgeries and hormones, according to a Daily Caller News Foundation review of the program. The program, which is known as Medi-Cal, covers hormone therapy and surgical procedures that bring primary and secondary gender characteristics into conformity with the individual's identified gender, including ancillary services such as hair removal. Incident to those services, according to a state memo from May 2022, roughly 700,000 illegal immigrants in the state between ages 26 and 49 qualify for this surgery and coverage. Gender affirming care is a covered Medi-Cal benefit when medically necessary. Requests for gender affirming care should be from specialists experienced in providing culturally competent care to transgender and gender diverse individuals and should use nationally recognized guidelines. Gavin Newsom's office said in quote, "In California, we believe everyone deserves access to quality, affordable healthcare coverage regardless of income or immigration status." As you guys may have heard last week, Gypsy Rose Blanchard has been released from prison after she helped plan to unalive her mother, Dee Dee, many years ago. Well, Gypsy has become some sort of a celebrity now, and she just did her first sit-down interview with ABC, where she speaks out about being released from prison and everything that led up to that incident with her mother. Speaking to Good Morning America in a sit-down interview with Deborah Roberts, which aired on Friday this morning, Gypsy, who was released from the correctional center last Thursday, recalled the experience of stepping out of the prison walls for the first time. Gypsy said, "I felt a little bit like I was dropped off in a different world because you don't realize how much you're restricted in prison. I felt like I was in a black and white world and I just stepped into Technicolor. It was amazing." Gypsy Rose spent nearly 9 years behind bars for her participation in the orchestration of the murder of her mother, who was found stabbed to death in her home in Springfield, Missouri. Dee Dee Blanchard abused her daughter by convincing her she was sick for years since she was a child when she wasn't. Her mother would actually give her all sorts of drugs, force her to be in a wheelchair. There's been many documentaries and movies about it because her mother wanted her to be so close to Gypsy Rose all the time that she never wanted to see her daughter leave her sight. When Gypsy was trying to get away from her mother, and as she grew older and found out that her mother was lying to her, she met a boy online, and he actually had some sort of mental disabilities, and she convinced him to come help her get free by killing her mother. Now, because Gypsy didn't actually participate in any of the murdering, she got out in 9 years. But the boy that she did convince to murder her mother, he is serving life in prison with no possibility of parole. Reflecting on the event, she said, "I'm sure that we both have a lot of regrets. All I can really say is that I did my time. He's doing his time for his part, and I wish him well on his journey." Guys, that's all we have today. We'll be back on Monday with a new episode. Let me know what you think about any of the topics we covered today or yesterday down in the comments. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on Monday.